Hi everyone, welcome back to the Resilience Pod, the podcast helping you become resilient in our world full of disruptions. You're here with me, your host Rina Singh. I am so grateful for you today for tuning in. Now, today's episode is about sales for the resilience professional. Yep, stay with me here because I am joined with not your typical salesman, but one who is an innovator, influencer, and a trainer who has successfully done this for large companies such as Sainsbury's, Barclays, Google's, and those sorts. He has also delivered this kind of training to over 300, yes, SMEs on techniques and strategies to sell with integrity. That is right. Also, to top up this impressive repertoire, he is the author of the best-selling book, Everybody Works in Sale, which has been listed on Amazon's top 100. Guys, not just once, not twice, but 21 times. Wow. He also wrote this book called The Easy Guide to Selling for Business Owners, which I have here. And guys, I actually won this in a competition of
That's
his
right.
last year. So, and he also signed it. But anyway, this isn't a pitch about his book, but the importance of why, as resilience professionals, we need to think about selling. So without further ado, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to my next guest on the Resilience Pod, Niraj Kapur. Hi, Niraj, how are you?
Rena, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I'm not going to rewrite my LinkedIn profile and just take what you've said about me because it's so much better.
Well, I am glad the Resilience Pod is known for its introduction. So I am very pleased for your feedback. Welcome. Really excited to have you on here. Without further ado, the first question is, why should we care about investing our time learning about sales?
Because as my first book says, everybody works in sales. If you work in HR, you have to convince staff to come join the company.
Yeah.
If you work as an accountant or a financial director, you have to convince other people to do things for you. If you're managing staff, you have to convince people above you to get approval for any new project, any investment in software. If you work in marketing, you need to sell yourself to say, hey, I need more budget for this. You work in sales, you're always selling yourself to get higher commission or bigger expenses account, no matter what you do in life. When I got divorced 2 years ago, I had to speak to different solicitors. They had to sell themselves to me as to how
Mm,
good they were. Ultimately, people unfortunately mistake selling for closing deals.
mhm,
And it's really important people understand that is not what sales is. It's such a tiny part. Selling is listening.
mhm.
Selling is equations. Selling is asking great questions. Selling is how you present yourself. Selling is how you leverage LinkedIn and social media. That is selling. Selling is not just closing a deal. It's very important people understand that, because when I mention I work in sales, sometimes there's always an awkward pause. Like I might as well say I'm a car salesman or, or I'm selling
Yeah.
insurance. People, there's an awkward pause. So quite often at networking events, people say, what do you do? I say, I'm a best-selling author. They go, oh, really? And then all of a sudden they're so nice to me. When I say I'm a trusted sales coach, there's always a bit of a pause, like, is this guy going to sell to me? So sales has that sort of, people kind of connect it with awkwardness and hard
Mm.
selling, which it isn't. It's not like that at all, not proper selling.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that, and I think everybody thinks that at the start, like, oh no, like a creepy salesperson, and like I don't want to know if you're going to sell me something. No, thank you. And yeah, I mean that would be my first reaction, and probably was when we first met, like a few years ago. So, guys, I've met Neeraj before, so we're not just internet buddies, and so yeah, it's that stigma around it. And I love what you say about everybody works in sales, and that's why your book is what it's called and why it's so popular. Because as resilience professionals, when we're going in our organization and we're getting people to do what they don't want to do, because we do that all the time, we need to understand how we sell. And it's a good remembrance and acknowledgement to actually think about it as actually we do sell. So it's really great to have that insight from you. Now, moving on from that, what would be your, say, key 3 tips? And I know you've got lots, and like this book is full of them. You don't need to be a business owner for that, but and generally some of your other books, but your 3 key tips to selling techniques that we can use like at our work when we don't actually do selling like in the traditional sense?
Certainly. The most important thing, believe it or not, is actually mindset. And it's
Hmm.
something people really haven't given much thought to, Rena, until maybe 6 months ago, whenever things got really tough and intense and people's mental health started being affected. Because at the beginning of lockdown, people just got on with it. They complained a lot. They adapted to a new way of life. They were like, this is fantastic. We're with our kids all day. It's wonderful. But then after a while, it's like, this is horrible. We want to get out of this. And now we're kind of trapped in a situation where it's currently February 2020. This is going to go on probably till at least April, maybe even longer. We don't know. Um, and people are getting very frustrated, very angry. They resent having to do their jobs and homeschool kids in many cases as well.
Mhm.
People are feel trapped inside. No, these are completely understandable human emotions. The problem is people aren't working on their mindset, because everything you do in sales or anything begins with mindset. And obviously, I'm quite lucky. I work with a mindset coach. I also go on mindset courses. I read mindset books, and I'm now teaching it as part of sales coaching. It's the first thing I teach. We work
Mm.
together. I have to get your mindset right. Otherwise, there's no point me teaching you anything, because you're not
Mm.
going to learn, because your mind's a mess. So things like when you wake up in the morning, do not check your emails. Do not check the news. It will slow you down. It will slow down your resilience. It will
Mhm.
make you more lethargic. It'll make you a bit more depressed. It'll make you a bit more distracted. So please don't check email. Please don't check news. Wake up just in a state of gratitude for a moment, being grateful for everything you have, a roof over your head. If you got kids, be grateful for them. If your kids aren't teenagers yet, be very grateful for that. I can say that as a father who's been through that. If your parents are still alive, be grateful for that. If you got a
Yeah.
roof over your head and a job, I literally spend a minute or two being grateful. Then I go straight outside for a walk. Now, if you can run, you can cycle, you can jog, you can do HIIT training, you can do meditation, whatever you like, but do something that gets your body moving. And I go for a
Mhm.
20-minute walk. Even this morning, it was pouring with rain. It was dark. It was miserable. And I went for a walk. And just to be clear, when I go for a walk, I don't check my emails or my Facebook or my Instagram. I am just walking. I'm doing affirmations, of course, and just being grateful and trying to clear my head for the day and think about my day. Who can I help? Who can I serve? But you've got to be doing that. Your morning routine is so important, because it means that when I get to work, I will have done that, been for my walk, spent half an hour reading a book on personal development. I'll have done my most important task till about 9 o'clock. And it's only about 9, 9:15, I actually check my emails. Until then, I refuse to check it. And even then, throughout the day, my phone, all my
Mm.
notifications are off at least twice a day. So I guess you could say mindset is a big part of it, but also you could call it social media distraction. And just to be clear, I love technology.
Mhm.
I embrace technology. I think it's fantastic. It's made my life easier, but we're so addicted to it. So many people, and the thing is, if you're distracted by technology all day and you're staring at a Zoom lens all day long or a Google
Yeah.
Meets lens, after 3 or 4 hours, it becomes irritating. It just does, by human nature. And that's why I'm always saying at lunchtime, switch off, spend time with your family, or go for a walk, or meditate, but just don't look at your screen or your phone, because it's going to slow you down. So mindset, and I guess you could call it lack of social media distraction, are probably the most important foundation of sales, and something nobody considers to be a sales thing, but it is. It's the most important thing you can do.
Yeah, and actually, it's really funny that you say that about tip one, and it feels like the foundations of it. And it's really interesting the last point you made about, well, no one associates that with sales. And like, just for a split second, I was like, what's that got to do with sales? But actually, you're right. It is the mindset. You need to be in that right frame of mind. And that brings me to like my point about, well, actually, resilient people is resilient business. So how can you go about in sales? So sales. So it really reinforces that. So thank you for sharing that tip number one. Mindset, guys, it's all about that. So what about tip number two?
Tip number two is always be learning.
Okay.
So I want to give my family as an example. My mother's a physio. She spent years becoming a physio. My brother's a tennis coach. He spent years doing that. My sister is a physio, spent years doing that. My father and my brother-in-law are both doctors. They spent 9 years. They
Mm,
spent so many years doing this. And yet, when most people sell, they've had no training. I'm not
mm.
talking even about salespeople here. I'm just talking about normal people. Sorry, normal people. I'm just talking about people who maybe
Non-sellers,
who
non-selling.
aren't in sales,
Yeah.
because in every job title you have, you still have to sell. That's
Yeah.
absolutely. vital you do that. But yet people might read an article on LinkedIn, maybe buy one book, and that's it. But you have to be learning every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes on a podcast or Audible or a book or a YouTube video. And people say they start and say, look, I got to sell. A lot of accountants approach me, a lot of IT people who generally you would consider introverts. They're like, I have to sell. I have no idea how do I do this? And I say, okay, here's my YouTube channel. Everybody works in sales. There's 66 videos. Start learning, but you've got to do this 10 minutes a day. Otherwise, don't do it at all. But you've got to do it every day. Can you promise me that? And they go, yes. It was brilliant. Good luck. Come back to me in a week and tell me how you're getting on. Because it's not just learning, it's being held accountable. And I guess that's me with my coach's hat on. You can't just learn something. You've got to take action as well. So, but definitely be learning every single day. That's how you get better at anything in life, but especially sales.
Yeah. And what kind, so for the resilience professional who, yes, we're selling in like without realizing, what would be like one thing that they like a specific sales technique that they could take away without looking at your YouTube channel just now, but something that we could just start thinking about doing? So we've got mindset, but what would be the other point that we could think about?
Ask great questions.
Okay.
Because you said only one, which I normally would say ask great questions and listen, but because they both go hand in hand. But people understand that when I sell to somebody, for example, what I don't do is say, hi, I'm Niraj. Okay, blah, 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 blah. I don't. I say to the client, what are your biggest challenges you're having right now? Okay, so why are you having these challenges for? Brilliant, thanks. And how long has this been going on? Why hasn't this been dealt with before? Okay. And what do you see as being the biggest challenge 3 months from now? And what deadlines you work at? All I do is ask questions for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I listen and I take notes. I'm a big note taker. And then what I do is after the person finishes speaking, I then repeat the highlights back to that person so they know I've been listening. Because salespeople in general are terrible listeners. They are. And a lot of people don't listen. They listen just so they can speak. But when I listen, I'm listening. And that's so, so important. People don't think, they're always so eager to get their point across. They're always scared of pauses. Pauses are fantastic in business. When I do business, I have at least a 5-second pause twice, and that's okay. It's okay to have moments of quiet to think through. So yeah, asking great questions and listening are key.
Yeah, and I really like that because it doesn't feel like a specific sales technique. It's what we should be doing anyway. And just relaying back to like what you said and putting it in context of people who might be listening in resilience, it's about, well, if we're trying to make people do something and they don't want to do it, it's actually asking why, what's holding them back. And actually I think about all the times that I've done that or not done that in my day job, and actually I can take that tip, that technique, and actually start implementing it straight away. So thank you for sharing that. What would be your third kind of key tip and technique for us to take away in the resilience industry on selling?
Psychology is more important than you realize. So you got to understand that when you want to get something from somebody, you do that by giving them as much value as possible. So anytime I talk to anybody, I give them a ton of value up front. I will say, well, here's access to my YouTube channel, 66 videos. That's it. I don't even need your email address. Just go and learn. I'll say, go to my website. Everybody works in sales. There's a free PDF. Follow me on LinkedIn. I do 5 posts a week on LinkedIn. 3 of them, I'm giving you tons of value for free. The 4th post, like yesterday, I just gave a shout out to lots of friends of mine who are really good at their job and I wanted people to know about it. It's a really nice thing. Again, it's helping other people. One of my friends got some business from that post and thanked me. She called me last night and said, thank you so much. I said, hey, it's no problem. It's helping other people. Even though my job title is sales coach, I am someone who helps people get results. I introduce people. There's so many things you do if you're good at sales, but ultimately it's helping people. And the 5th post I do a week tends to be a pure sales one. Here's my next masterclass. Here's my sales program. Contact me for coaching. And that's okay, because if you're giving so much value 80% of the time, it's okay to sell 20% of the time. A lot of people don't know what the balance should be. It should never be 50-50. A lot of people say 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. 3 to 1 is okay, but really I like to do 4 bits of massive value and then 1 bit sales. And that's the same with my newsletters. In a 5-week month, I'll give you massive value for 4 weeks. The 5th week, I'll to you in a 4-week month, massive value for 3 weeks. I'll sell to you the 4th week. And that's okay, because I'm giving so much value up front to people.
Yeah, that's really insightful, Niraj. Thank you for that. And really important, actually, is showing the value. And when relaying back to my fellow resilient industry folk, it's sharing the value of doing that particular work, what that means for your area of the business, and the bigger picture. So really valuable. We can take a lot of learnings from the sales industry in that regard. However, moving on from kind of the bits that we've now learned, what are the things to avoid? Because I get so many direct sales emails, and like we've got that perception and that stereotype for a reason as well. Unfortunately, every industry people have stereotypes, but it's that aggressiveness. So when we're doing this from the expert as yourself, like what should we avoid doing straight off the bat?
Never sell to somebody as soon as you connect. Now, that's such a common sense thing to say, and yet so many people do it. And the second thing is don't lie. Again, that's such a common sense thing today. I had somebody on Monday. He says, Niraj, I love your post. My boss is a really influential guy. I'd like to introduce you. That's really sweet. Thank you. And he arranged the introduction. We spoke on Zoom yesterday. After speaking for 60 seconds, his boss said, okay, let me get you a demo out. We're going to demo our product to you. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean demo your product? He goes, well, you're a LinkedIn trainer. We do LinkedIn leads. Let me show you for the next half an hour how we can help you. I'm like, come on. I said, what's going on here? You said to me, you're going to introduce me to your boss. And I always appreciate a good introduction. All you want to do is sell to me in a demo. I would never have done that if I'd known what this was. Would you mind if I spoke freely with you? Please don't do that again, because it's just not sincere and it's not honest. And that's not really how you should come across. And your job title is sales, and you're giving salespeople a bad name by doing this. Yeah. Now, I spoke in a very calm manner, and you could tell they'd both screwed up. They both felt quite embarrassed about it, but they didn't apologize. And I finished, I said, look, guys, I've got to go now. I wish you good luck in the future, but please just be honest with people. It makes a big difference. So the half-hour meeting became sadly 5 minutes, but they just lied to me just to meet me. And I'm like, I will never buy from you ever again. And I went and told lots of my friends, of course, in Clubhouse, you're not going to believe what this company did. So not only do you lose respect, your business loses business, because people will tell their friends, you're not going to believe this person I had to deal with. So don't lie, and don't sell to somebody straight away. When I want to do business with somebody, well, I'll give you an internal example and an external example. Mm-hmm. So an external one's really simple. If I want to do business with a client, I will like and comment on their post. Then I will send them an invite on LinkedIn to say, I've just liked and commented on your post because of XXX, happy to connect. And then 2 days later, I'll like and comment on their post again. And then the third time I like and comment, I'll message them to say, I've liked and commented on your posts all week because I've really liked them. I can't sell anything to you because I've no idea what you want. In fact, we may not even be the right fit. But what are the two biggest challenges you're having right now? I'd like to be able to help you. And that doesn't work all the time. It only works maybe 30% of the time, but that's still quite high. And it's a great way to engage with people. But I've given so much value up front, I've earned the right to sell to you. And that's okay. And I recommend all my clients do that, and they do. Now, if you're trying to sell internally, the mistake I see a lot of people making in different departments is they spend so much time working on something. They meet with the boss and say, I need this, I need this, I need this. How much money can you give me? And that's not how you do it. What you got to do is two things. Either sit with the boss first and say, there's this challenge we're having internally. I've spoken to my team. They feel it's much easier if we get this piece of software or if we have this extra investment. And it will really not only help us, but help you, because we'll get better results for the business. So again, talk about why you're doing it. Talk about why it will benefit the person you're asking for the favor or the money from. And then just say to them, how can we best work together on this? Not, I need the money. How can we best work? Again, how can we best work together on this? And when you talk about somebody internally in a conversational manner and you get them involved in the process, they're more likely to say yes. Yeah. But if you put all the effort in and try and sell it, people just, their defenses go up and they say no, or they put you into a pile for consideration, which isn't very good. So these are little things that I've done internally when I worked for companies for 23 years. And as a coach, I do these with my clients now. So if a salesperson hires me or an accountant hires me because he wants to be partner in his firm in 2 years' time, and he's like, I can't sell. How do I convince my boss? These are the kind of things we work on. And then we do role plays together, because it's not just, again, learning, it's being held accountable, and it's putting everything into action. Does that kind of make sense, Rina?
Yeah, it does. And it's just so powerful because I'm just thinking, like, as you're saying this, I do this all the time. And a lot of us in the industry are constantly doing this, whether we're pitching for software or getting people to buy into our programs. And it's like, it's literally no different. And I mean, I kind of had a feeling it wouldn't be, but it's just you saying this makes it so much more relevant to me in my work that I do, and to everybody else, and to consciously think about this. So it's fantastic, and it feels like it's not something dramatically different, because in a way I was kind of expecting you to give me something that I had never heard of before, and something that I would find hard to do. But I think everything you said is fairly easy to go away and implement, which I think is really powerful. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. Listen, it should be easy. My job, I'm a trusted sales coach. People not only have to trust me, but I have to make it simple. If something is complicated, people will never do it.
Yeah.
They'll procrastinate, or they'll do it reluctantly or begrudgingly, which you don't want. You want to really simplify things for people, and then you keep them accountable, because the accountability bit is just as important. It's why I have a coach. It's so I can stay on top of my game for my clients, but it's also to keep me accountable, make sure it gets done, because that's the key thing. A lot of people start things. I mean, look at your podcast. Most podcasts, believe it or not, 93% of podcasts don't get past episode 7. I never knew that. But yours has, because you kept going. But you can't give up too easily. And so many people quit so quickly in life. It's amazing. And they shouldn't do that. That's, again, a good sales quality to have. Don't quit too early. Perseverance is important.
Yeah, I like that. And that shows the integrity part that I mentioned in your introduction, because actually there's people can sense that, and when you keep trying and genuinely make it personable, it shines through, which is, I feel, really powerful. And you've just evidenced that in this short space of time. Now, do you have any kind of final words before we kind of wrap up? And I'd love to talk to you for hours on this, but yeah, just some final words from you today.
Okay. Selling is about helping people. And instead of being uncomfortable about, oh God, I've got to sell, I've got to pick up the phone and call somebody, just think, I'm picking up the phone to help somebody. There's a big difference between I'm going to pick up the phone, cold call, and bother somebody and interrupt their day, to I'm going to pick up the phone, I'm going to help someone. And if you come from a place of service, not just in sales, but in anything you do, Rina, it just makes the process so much more enjoyable.
People want to find you or connect or find out more, where can they do so?
I always say to people, if you want to connect with me, go to everybodyworksinsales.com, or drop me an email, niraj@everybodyworksinsales.com. No matter how many times I say this, people still connect with me on LinkedIn. So you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, Everybody Works in Sales under YouTube, or everybodyworksinsales.com, or LinkedIn. All of those are fine.
Well, thank you so much for giving us a little taster, or whetting our appetite into sales and some of the techniques. So guys, thank you so much once again for tuning in. Until next time, this is your host, Rina Singh, signing off, and keep on investing in your resilience.